الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
إن الحمد لله نحمده تعالى ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله الله تعالى بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره الكافرون. نحمده تعالى على نعمائه لا نحصي ثناء عليه، وكما أثنى على نفسه أو أثنى عليه رسوله عليه الصلاة والسلام. نشكره ولا نكفره، نؤمن به ونتوكل عليه، هو مولانا وعلى الله فليتوكل المؤمنون. ثم أما بعد، أحبتي في الله، إنه معلوم أن الله سبحانه وتعالى غني عن عباده، فلا عبادة تنفعه ولا معصية تضر. It is known as a fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in no need of his servants. their worship does not benefit him. And their disobedience does not harm him. فهذه العبادات والتكاليف من الحلال والحرام إنما شرعت لنا نحن البشر لفائدتنا نحن ومن مصلحتنا نحن. So all these rituals that we have, by obedience or disobedience, what's permissible and what's prohibited, was decreed for our benefit, for our welfare, for us. And this is important to understand, because that means that I have to acknowledge and recognize the benefits of these rituals. In that way, I can scale if they're true or not, if they have the impact that they should have or not on me. And if they don't, then maybe the problem is that they will not perform well enough for them to benefit. وهذه القضية مهمة أن تعرف. لأن الإنسان إذا علم أن العبادات والتكاليف كلها من أجله هو، إذا لابد أن يفهم الحكمة من تشريعها وآثارها في حياته. فإن علمت تلك الآثار فقد يعني أن تلك العبادة لم تؤدى حقا، وأن المشكلة مشكلة المرء نفسه. فعلى سبيل المثال، فإن اعتقاد الإنسان بالشهادة أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا رسول الله يقتضي أن يحرر الإنسان نفسه من عبادة العباد إلى عبادة رب العباد، ومن جور الأديان إلى عدل الإسلام وسعته. ومن آثار هذه الكلمة أنها تحرر الإنسان من علاقاته الدنيوية كلها، فلا حب خالصا إلا لله، ولا بغض خالصا إلا من أجل الله، ولا رجاء إلا من الله، ولا طلب إلا من الله. فيجد الإنسان نفسه مقتنعا مرتاح البال، يعرف علاقته بداية ونهاية بسبب لا إله إلا الله. فإذا وجد الإنسان نفسه متعلقا بأمور الدنيا وبأهواء الدنيا وشهواته بعبادة غير الله تعالى، معناه أن كلمته لا إله إلا الله لم تتوفر فيها الشروط. فما من شيء إلا وله شروط تصح به العبادة. فمقتصرا شروط لا إله إلا الله علم يقين وإخلاص وصدقك مع محبة وانقياد والقبول لها. هذه شروط لا إله إلا الله: علم بلا إله إلا الله ومعانيها، ويقين بأنه لا شك أن الله واحد، وإخلاص نابع من قلبك فلا يمكن أن يكون فيه رياء أو شرك، وأنت صادق ما بين الكلمة والفعل، ومحب لتلك الكلمة فلا تحب إلا الله. ثم تنقاد إليه ولأوامر لا إله إلا الله. هذه شروط لا إله إلا الله. إذا لم تتوفر هذه الشروط لم تصح لا إله إلا الله عندك ولم يكن لها آثار. So every ritual should have its impact. And if it doesn't result in those impacts, that means you did not perform that ritual correctly. So, for example, La ilaha illallah that we say, al-kalimah al-tayyibah that we repeatedly say, declaring that there is only one worthy of worship and that Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam is his prophet, it has conditions for it to be fulfilled. And if you don't fulfill those conditions, La ilaha illallah would not have its impact, even though you might say it. The knowledge of that La ilaha illallah, the meaning of La ilaha illallah, everything that's considered obligatory to understand of La ilaha illallah, you have to have full knowledge of what you're saying, you have to have sincerity in what you're saying, and you have to have that ikhlas, certainty and sincerity. You're certain of it and you're sincere with it. And you have to be truthful in your commitment to it. And you have to fall in love with the meaning of it. And you have to be willing to be guided by it and led by it. You don't fulfill these conditions, it's not going to give that impact. The salah, it has an outcome if you perform it correctly. إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر. Your prayer should shield you from all immoral acts and wrongdoings. And if you don't see that result, there's a problem in your prayer itself. In every pillar of Islam, we might create a series of khutabs about this, each one independently. But every ritual that we do in Islam, there's a reason for it, because it's supposed to benefit you. It's not done for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, his benefit. We do it in sincerity with Allah ta'ala, but it's not for his benefit, for yours. فهذه العبادات كلها من أجلك لها فوائد ونتائج وشروط أداء. علنا إن شاء الله نعمل سلسلة خطط في هذا الموضوع حتى يتبين لنا هذه الفوائد القائمة لك أنت. But we will focus on الزكاة today. And why am I picking the zakat today? Because first of all, we are in the month of Ramadan. And many of us, during the month of Ramadan, we like to calculate our zakat in this month so we can give it. And there is a difference between zakat and sadaqah. Sadaqah is a general donation that you give out of your own goodwill. You see a yatim or a miskin on the road and you take some money out of your pocket and you give them. The message means your support, you give the message. This is general sadaqah that you give out of your own goodwill and generosity. There's no percentage or limit to it. You can give as much as you want. But the zakah is a specific amount calculated based on your earnings, what you earn, a variety of ownership, whether it is cattle or real estate or business-based ownership in exchange, or currency of gold and silver and other gems, or currency of what we know today of paper money. All these items that you own, there is a zakat that needs to be taken out if we reach a minimum of revenue. Then you have to distribute a zakat. It's not your money to give. It is a money that's owned by someone else that is entrusted in your hands that you have to give out. And if you do not give the appropriate amount of zakah, then you have not fulfilled your debt. It is a debt that Allah Ta'ala obligated on you. And it's to be taken from you, willingly or forcefully. You would tell me forcefully, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, after the death of the Rasul, he sent out his messengers to collect zakah. And there were some people that decided that I don't want to give the zakah. That was a tax that we were giving to the Rasul. He's dead. Why should I give taxes to Abu Bakr? They considered it like a tax. And Abu Bakr declared war against them. And he said, Wallahi la'uqatilanna man farraqa bayna zakati wa salah. Wallahi, I will fight or declare war against those who distinguishes or separates between salah and zakah. Salah and zakah are the same. They're one of the 5 pillars of Islam. We focus a lot on our prayers, but we are laid back when it comes to our zakah. Zakah is mandatory, and if you are not willing to give it willingly, it's not your money. You're stealing it from those that own it now. And the state can forcefully take it away from you because you're a thief that's refusing to pay your debt. That's how important zakah is. It is not something that is an aftermath. And there are specific calculations for every different item that you might have in your possession and in your dealings. And hopefully we'll have enough time to identify those things if we create a series of it too. Because I was asked by some that we need a series of educational progress of how to give our zakah. But anything that has a value, this is just a summary, anything that has a value in your possession, monetary value, you have to take zakah for it. Unless that item is used personally for you. Like the house that you live in. That's a personal use. Or the car that you drive. That's a personal use. Then you do not give zakah for that because the zakah eventually will exhaust the price of it. The value of it. If you continuously pay on a monthly basis, it will exhaust it. And if zakah is not meant to exhaust your wealth, zakah is meant that the wealthy we take away from him. Take away from him. Not he gives. We take away from him a portion to give it to the unfortunate so they can become rich too, so they can give the zakah the next year. It is not a sadaqah. Sadaqah is a willful thing that you do out of your own generosity. Zakah is something just like salah that you're obligated to perform. So there are things that you do not give zakah out of, but in general, anything that has a value that you calculate as an income or as a precious item that you have that you will use to generate profit for yourself or treasured within your possession for a time being, that needs to have zakah on it. Even if it's just a photo that has a value, a painting that has a value, that can be sold with money, that painting has a zakah for it. Unless you have that painting in your home for personal use without the intention of ever selling. Y'all understand what I'm saying here? This is something extremely important for all of us to understand in giving zakah. If zakah is performed the way it should be, there should not be any poverty in the world. There should not be someone that is poor and needy in the world. They should be taken care of. And the proof of that, during the time of Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, people were giving out the zakah the way they should to where it reached the level the state could not find anyone to receive as a zakah, because the zakah is given from one person to receive by the other. And by the way, it's the only pillar in Islam that is connected between two people. You can say the Shahada on your own. You can pray for yourself on your own. You can do Salam on your own. You can go Hajj on your own. You don't need a second party to be in the process. But zakah, the only way for it to succeed is for two sides to be engaged in it. The giver and the receiver. So at the time of Umar ibn Aziz, they couldn't find anyone to take the zakah. Everybody was rich. They ended up dedicating it to build pathways for the animals. And when we talk about the distribution of zakah, there's a lot that needs to be talked about. The majority of people only look at the ayah of the 8 categories and they say this is what the zakah is, but each category itself could be extended. For example, al-captive, al-asir, a prisoner of war, is entitled to zakat to be freed. But there's a discussions that people talk about today is what if it's a prisoner that needs a bond? He's captive too. Can we dedicate some of the zakah in that field? That's not the point right here. The point is that I want to get straightforward to you is you need to take zakah very seriously. Because the lack of your understanding of zakah and your distribution of it is equally as you failing to pray. As equally as you failing to fast. As equally as you neglecting the true meaning of La ilaha illallah. As equally as you neglecting when capable to perform your Hajj. And as I stated in the past, if any individual wishes to sit with me and spend time to see what they need to give out of their zakah, because they couldn't do their own calculation or confused, then I will sit with you. One thing I will caution you, because there are some apps that calculate your zakah and say, okay, take out. I would not trust those apps, because those apps assume that you understand what needs to be given zakah for. And then they just give you the outcome of the amount of it. But sometimes the amount is different because of the nature of what you're giving zakah for and how you calculate it. And a lot of you, just to come to an end, misunderstand the items within, let's say you have a store. There's a refrigerator, there's a freezer, there's a counter, there's a cashier, there's items within the business that the business is built on these items. The business cannot do without these items. These items you don't give zakah for. But for some, they carry that into actually the product that they sell, and they say, oh no, I don't need to give zakah on these because they're part of the business. I only give zakah out of what I sell, not what's sitting in my lot, for example. That is an information that is incorrect. So a lot of research needs to be done, and you're responsible. You are responsible. You will have to answer if you did not pay your zakah. And the danger of it is you left the pillar and then you're denying the people that are in need. You're causing harm of other people. There's a calculation that Muslims, if they give their zakah in the United States, it will reach more than $4 billion, $4.8 billion. That would solve all the Muslim problems in the country. But less than 3% of the Muslims give their zakah out. And out of those 3%, even a smaller percentage actually give it correctly. They don't calculate it correctly. They have properties back home, they have properties here and there and whatever, and they don't calculate it correctly when they give it out. If they misunderstand what a nisab is and how it impacts, is a nisab an annual thing, or is it an annual thing for every item, or an annual thing in general for all that you have? From the moment that nisab was reached. Hopefully, we'll have enough time in the future to tackle all these, inshallah, and educate ourselves, because this is extremely important. It's a pillar of Islam. أقول ما تسمعون وأستغفر الله لكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. استغفر. إن الحمد لله نحمده تعالى ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله ثم أما بعد. I want to give you an update of something that we are proud to have here in our community. As many of you understand, a few years ago we were able to acquire a cemetery. For a very long time, our community was searching for a cemetery and we could not find one. Eventually, Allah Ta'ala blessed us with one. Only 17-minute drive, 15 to 7-minute drive from our masjid. We committed to over 13 acres of land to buy, and more so if we wanted to. But just the 13 acres of land will give us almost 14,000 graves. At this moment, we have in our ownership 1,500 graves. 500 graves fully paid off. 1,000, we're paying it in installments. We just signed the contract for the 1,000 just a few months ago. In our cemetery, alhamdulillah, the most cost-effective and cheapest cemetery in the whole North Pacific West. Where others might sell their grave over $10,000 and plus, we were able to sell it to our members in a reasonable price, where it will not break the back of the family, and at the same time, it will help the community to continue buying these graves. And I want to state this and put this on the record. No one is benefiting from this cemetery, including the Islamic Center of Tacoma. It is the Islamic Center of Tacoma Cemetery. But the Islamic Center of Tacoma is not taking a dime or a nickel or a penny from what's paid for the cemetery. It's returned into the cemetery. And if the Islamic Center of Tacoma was to take some benefit from it, it would have been halal. But the board, may Allah bless them, specifically the chairman, agreed that this should be for the cemetery to help the families. But what we also found out is not every member of our community is capable even of paying $3,000. It's still too much for them, especially if they have 5 members in the family. You're talking about $15,000. It's quite a hefty amount. And our objective as leadership is to ease everything that we can ease for you. So an idea came out to where collectively we support each other. Now, a lot of you have bought their own graves. But out of everybody that bought their graves, only one individual donated graves, which is Awad al-Hassan. He donated 19 graves. But other than him, no one donated not one grave. They bought graves for themselves and their family. Cemetery needs to have donated graves, so we can give people that pass away that they cannot afford to bury themselves. Just last month, in the month before, the last 3 months, we buried 4 people that could not afford it. and a lot more. So what the idea we came out with right now is a membership a way of building the cemetery. People become members. Each member pays $400 a year. A year. Not a month. Not a one-time pay either. It's a year. If you pay $400 a year, and we're able to generate 500 members, if any of our community members that don't have a grave die, they get the grave for free. And all of us share in burying that individual or that sister or brother. And anyone in your own family that passes away, you have a grave. That way, the cemetery can serve the rich and the poor at the same time. So we don't put the rich in one counter and the poor, unfortunately, we have to beg people when they die, and we have a hard time doing so. And that would be all the expenses that they will need. Because that will generate for us $200,000 a year. If we have 500 members, that's $200,000 a year. That should be sufficient enough. We're paying $150,000 yearly to the cemetery. And that will leave us with $50,000. It should be sufficient enough for the people that die within that year, inshallah. And the community takes care of itself. We take care of each other. هذا واجب علينا. واجب علي أن يسند أخي على ظهري وأنا أحميه وأنا أرفعه. It is my job that my brother leans on me. I carry him as he would carry me. This is my dream, that not one person in this community feels isolated. That everybody feels that I have someone to depend on after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we depend on each other. I hope this is an idea that all of you can come together for. Today we're doing that fundraiser. We don't want you to donate the $5,000, the $1,000. If you want, you can. What we want from everyone, even those who already bought for them and themselves and their families a cemetery, a grave, we want everyone in this masjid to sign up to be a member, to pay $400 annually. That way you will not need to do any fundraisers for the cemetery ever. It will be self-sufficient because of you. And if we are to die, alhamdulillah, next group takes over. Because we should not be running from one state to another to collect money so we can put our loved ones to rest. I think that is hard to sell, right? To where we would go elsewhere and say, we want you to help put our loved ones to rest. We should put our own loved ones to rest. Don't y'all agree? You do. Yes, we should. So everyone, inshallah, our goal is to reach 500 members. We have over 700 to 800 people praying today. Sign up your name. You'll have a barcode Abdurrahman would put, and sign up for $400 a year automatically. And that should, alhamdulillah, put an end to our needs for the cemetery, bi'idhnillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allahumma la tada'. And by the way, this is zakah eligible. You can count that from your zakah, because it's going to be towards the poor and needy. And we are a 501c3 also. So it's tax exempt also. You have all the benefits from everywhere. اللهم لا تدع لنا ذنبا إلا غفرته ولا هما إلا فرجته ولا دينا إلا قضيته ولا حاجة من حوائج الدنيا والآخرة هي لك رضا ولنا فيها صلاحا إلا أعنتنا على قضائها ويسرتها برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم انصر إخواننا في فلسطين. اللهم انصر إخواننا في غزة يا رب العالمين. اللهم انصرهم نصرا مؤزرا. اللهم انصرهم نصرا مؤزرا. اللهم كما نصرت نبيك محمدا في بدر فانصرهم يا رب العالمين. اللهم عليك بأعدائهم يا أكرم الأكرمين. اللهم عليك بأعدائهم وأعدائنا يا قوي يا عزيز. اللهم اكتب في كيدهم خسارة عليهم دنيا وآخرة يا رب العالمين. اللهم اشف قلوبنا بخسارتهم وهزيمتهم وخزيهم وعارهم وارحم شهداء إخواننا في فلسطين. اللهم ارحم شهداءهم، اللهم ارحم شهداءهم، واشفي مرضاهم، واشفي مرضاهم، إنك سميع مجيب الدعوات. اعلموا أحبتي في الله أن الله تعالى يقول إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. ثم اعلموا أن الله تعالى يقول إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. فاذكروا الله العظيم الجليل يذكركم واشكروه على نعمه يزدكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله أعلم ما تصنعون. By the way, this membership for the cemetery is if anyone dies and they're not a member, they will have to end up buying the grave. It's exclusive for those members to get a free grave if they are to die, inshallah. أقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
استووا اعتدلوا تراصوا. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. والعصر إن الإنسان في خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. الله أكبر. سبحان رب العظيم الحمد لله. سمع الله لمن حمده حمدا كثيرا باركا طيبا فيه من الأسماء. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. الله أكبر. سبحان رب العظيم الحمد. سبحان رب العظيم الحمد. سمع الله لمن حمده حمدا كثيرا. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي. الله أكبر. ربي اغفر لي وارحمني يا رب. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم. الله أكبر. تحيات لله الصلوات الطيبات لا صالحين أشهد أن لا أشهد أن اللهم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. استغفر الله. استغفر الله العظيم. Like I said, we just need members. We just need members. So who wants to be the first one to be a member? For you and your family, there's one, there's two, there's three, there's four, 5, 6, 7. We're going to have a bar over here. 8. Use your phone. 9. Use your phone to scan the bar so you can be a member. We also have Nasser and the other brothers, inshallah, with the square outside. If you do donate through the square, send us a text message that you're donating as a member because we're using Give Butter. And as you can see over there, there is fees for your 400, the processing fee. So if you see a little extra, it's processing fee. Who else? Raise your hands, inshallah. We need to get to 500. There's one. Who else? Who else? Barakallah. It's 400 a year. There's one over there. It's 400 a year, not a month. Jazakumullah khair. And this is for you and your whole family. So you're paying one time for you and your whole family. Yeah, and make sure you put your phone number and all that, the information, so we know that's who you are. Who else, inshallah? We made the phone number mandatory so we can call you and get that information. Yes. Yeah, and just put the number right there, and then, yeah, and then put all right, so inshallah, I don't need to do an open fundraiser. This is for you, $400, Ikhwan. If you look at it, it's $36 a month. It's $36 a month, and you get a free grave for you and your whole family, not just yourself, and your whole family, inshallah. That way, nobody needs anybody, inshallah. And all of you get the reward of putting your brother or sister to rest, inshallah. All of you. So please, become a member, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you and I, inshallah. I'll be waiting for you outside to help out. Yeah, there's a tip. If you want to put a tip, it will not go to us. It'll go to Give Butter.
You can put a 0.
Yeah, you can put it 0 so you don't give them anything. We want you to give the money to us, inshallah.
Thank you.
will show you the video later. But just study.